So, to get back to my original point, there are two types of judgment then. There's an eternal end-all judgment that all of us will face someday. If Yahshua returns in your lifetime, you will face that at his return. But if he should not happen to return before you die, you will face that after your death. I don't know if it'll be an immediate. I don't happen to claim to have it all figured out what happens the day you die. But I know that what does happen the day that you die or the day that Yahshua returns is your actions get set in stone. If you've lived a wicked life, it says as long as there is life, there is hope. And as long as you are living and breathing, there's always the chance for repentance. Ezekiel 33 makes it clear that if you're a wicked man and you turn from your wicked ways, the wickedness gets remembered no more. Yahweh in his mercy will forgive. And if you're a righteous person and you turn from your righteousness and do wickedly, your righteousness gets remembered no more. Go read Ezekiel 33. It's very clear. But what does happen then is the day you die, your actions become set in stone. Up until then, basically, we're described as vessels on the potter's wheel. Basically, as long as you're alive, that clay is still pliable. The day you die is when that vessel gets fired, so to speak, and it gets set in stone. It's not changeable after that anymore. The consequences aren't changeable. So, in our relationships with each other, the reason I bring this up is because I do believe we have an obligation to love each other enough to challenge one another and ask each other, how are you doing? And when you see actions in me and I see actions in you that don't look like they line up with the testimony of our mouth, the testimony that says Yahshua is my Messiah, then out of love for our brothers, not out of condemnation or hypocrisy, but out of genuine love for our brothers, we have an obligation to say, this doesn't look like it's going to produce life and freedom for you. What is this? We have this obligation. I want to read one more passage to you now that is kind of a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I suspect. This is Proverbs chapter 20, verse 11. I'm going to just read it, and I want you to think about what does this mean. So many things in Proverbs have much deeper meaning than what they look like on the surface. Proverbs 20:11. Even a child is known by his actions, by whether his conduct is pure and right. In its simplest form, this is saying that even children are judged by how they behave. If you've got a child that's laying in the middle of a supermarket aisle, on their back, kicking and screaming and throwing a tantrum because they didn't get a candy bar, what is the thought that comes to your mind, whether you say it out loud or not? If you're like me, you probably think, that kid's a brat. Plain and simple. Based on what? Is it based on, well, I can't say that because I don't know what their eternal state is? No, you say it based on their actions. And then, let's say that kid's sister is standing there, and she's about 4, and she's just quietly standing on the side and going, Johnny, get up. It's not nice. You're stressing mother out and all these kind of things. What are you going to think about that child? If you're like me, you'll think, wow, what a little angel. Once again, based on what? Do you know anything about that child? No, not other than what you just saw, but based on their actions, you say, this is someone that's behaving in a godly manner. That's the kind of relationship we should have. What this is saying in verse 11 of Proverbs 20 is even a child, you judge based by his actions, by whether his conduct is pure and right. And it's saying more by what it doesn't say, which is if you discern the spot of a child based on his actions, then why shouldn't you and shouldn't you be discerning this about yourself and others when the matters at hand are much more grave than just throwing a tantrum in the candy aisle? This is an issue that will turn into an eternal issue. So please, love each other. Love me enough to challenge us. Challenge each other. Spur one another on to righteousness. It says in Hebrews, encourage one another daily so your hearts won't be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. Do you love people that much?